Shabbat Shalom. Last night and this morning, we celebrated Shavuot, the holiday that honors and commemorates receiving Torah at Mount Sinai. As part of our celebration last night, we had an Ask the Rabbis session with Rabbis Hirsch, Rabbi Naitav, Rabbi Kalpowitz, and myself. Over the course of 45 minutes, we answered a variety of questions, ranging from our opinions on our obligation to rebuke members of our own community when they have stepped out of line, to our thoughts about AI, to technical questions about the meanings and the rituals of the holiday of Shavuot itself. With each question, one or two of us would share an answer and then call on the next person. But there was one question directed at us that each of us answered. It was a question about our sermon process. We were asked how we come up with sermons every week and what message or passages we tend towards. So I'll let you in on a little bit of my answer. My goal in giving sermons is to bring Jewish wisdom and Torah in particular, into our everyday lives. I look for ways that the ancient texts are relevant, meaningful, and relatable. After all, why should we continue to read and reread an ancient text? Why should we hold fast to its stories and teachings if they bear no connections to today? But the beauty of Torah is that it is perpetually relatable and relevant. As rabbis, one of our jobs is to bring our community closer to Torah. One way we do that is by building bridges from our ancient sources of wisdom to our modern world and our modern life. Actually, one of the hazards of being a rabbi is that we tend to see sermons everywhere in everyday life. It's how we rabbis can constantly preach on the Torah week after week, year after year. Because in the years since we read this portion, we, the people around us, and the world around us has changed. One place I always find a plethora of sermon ideas is in Broadway shows. Some of them are fairly obvious, and we've heard some of them. Others need to be unearthed as you peel the layers back like an onion. One of the shows I recently saw with my family a few weeks ago was Every Brilliant Thing. In a world where the news too often is reporting on death, destruction, and danger, this show reminded us of all the things we should be thankful for. Without giving away too much, the narrator of the show talks about a list he created as a child of all the good things that he was thankful for. It started with ice cream and staying up late. And originally, this list was created for his mother after her first suicide attempt, as a way to show her all the things that was worth living for. But the play chronicles how this list continues to grow and become a part of the narrator's own life. It showed how he continued to add to it throughout his life, especially when things were difficult, and how the list continuously encouraged him to focus on finding good things in his life that he could add to his list. Before we continue, I want to pause for a moment, and I want to ask each of you to do something. Close your eyes. Think of a couple of things that you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. It can be the cool weather after a few oppressively hot days, a hug you received from a friend you hadn't seen, or even that funny cat clip, that cat meme that someone sent you. Did you think of one? Notice your feelings. I'm looking around and I see a lot of smiles. Some of you may feel lighter, even though none of your actual problems have gone away or been fixed since I asked you to think of something good. But by focusing our mind on the things we are thankful for, rather than concentrating on our burdens, we have allowed our mood to improve and our outlook to brighten. This is the effect of gratitude on the brain. Nothing new happened in our lives since the last 2 minutes, but just by taking time to think about, appreciate, and acknowledge the goodness that's already there, our mood elevated, our stress levels went down, and we are left feeling happier and more hopeful. Judaism has always recognized the importance of gratitude. In fact, in Hebrew, it is not even called gratitude or thankfulness, but hakarat hatov, recognizing the good, implying that the good is already there. The action we need to take is recognizing and acknowledging it. In 1998, Dr. Martin Seligman, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania and the then president of the American Psychological Association, officially created the discipline of positive psychology. Although the term was coined back in 1954 by Abraham Maslow, it wasn't until the 90s that it gained enough traction and respectability to become its own discipline. Basically, it argued that psychology could do more than just help there be an absence of mental illness. It could actually elevate our lives if we focused on well-being and fulfillment. In the early 2000s, there were several scientific papers that focused on the actual effects of gratitude, happiness, and fulfillment, how it affected us mentally and even physically. In 2003, in Counting Blessings versus Burdens, Robert Emmons and Michael E. McCullough proved that gratitude had a positive effect on our physical well-being among participants with neuromuscular diseases. They also found that gratitude had the ability to demonstrably improve the affect in the present and increase the likelihood that people will function optimally and feel good in the future. Finally, they scientifically linked gratitude to reduced feelings of pain by regulating dopamine levels. In 2004, in The Appreciative Heart, the Physiopsychology of Appreciation, Roland McCratty and Doc Childre proved that participants who practiced gratitude were more resilient to emotional setbacks and negative experiences. They also demonstrated how practicing gratitude can help individuals handle stress better, and that it actually rewires our brain to cope with difficult circumstances with more awareness and perception. These studies proved what Judaism has long known: gratitude works. But here's the thing. Being grateful and recognizing the good things in our lives isn't simply a Pollyannish naivete. It's actually good science. Practicing gratitude is not hiding from the real problems that we're facing. Each night, as I tuck my kids in, we share our favorite part of the day. Usually it's not a very difficult task, as we share a good class, a fun outing, a meaningful conversation, or a good dinner or dessert we might have had. But I choose that question intentionally. One, I want my kids to go to bed with the last thing they thought about being the positive part of their day. But more importantly, on the days when they've had a challenging day, it forces us to remember that even in the darkness, there are slivers of light. And it is these slivers of light that allow us to continue to find gratitude and have hope that more will come. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs taught us that as Jews, we have seen too much in our world to be blindly optimistic, and yet we are the people that is ever hopeful. Because hope is the belief that together we can make this world better. And it is these slivers of gratitude and light that we need, especially in the darkest of days. They strengthen us, and they help to fundamentally rewire our brain and allow us to continue working towards a better world. But let me be clear. Just because you find a sliver of positivity in your day doesn't negate the negative things that may have also happened. Just as finding things to be thankful in our lives doesn't negate the real issues that we need to face. But here is what Judaism, and finally, 2,000 years later, science is telling us. By taking the time to recognize and acknowledge the good, we are actually preparing and enabling ourselves to be able to confront and even overcome the bad. If gratitude does indeed rewire our brain, improve our mood, and affects our physical health, then taking time to strengthen the gratitude muscle enables us to better equip ourselves to confront difficulty. Much like lifting physical weights strengthens our physical muscles and enables us to carry a heavier physical load, so too does strengthening our emotional muscles enable us to carry a heavier mental load without losing hope or spiraling into hopelessness. We live in very challenging times. We are facing challenges in so many aspects of our lives. We need every advantage possible to be able to face and overcome the adversity that we see. Judaism has long taught, and science has now confirmed, that making a conscious effort to practice hakarat hatov, to recognize and acknowledge the good that exists in our lives, is good physically, and it emotionally strengthens our ability to overcome the negative and to continue to be a force for good in this world. Shabbat Shalom.